The following is a fan-based discussion, and all materials being discussed are owned by Toei and Super Productions. I claim no ownership to the materials being discussed and is purely fan opinion.
Hello everyone, welcome back to TFX episode 5, back with Super Sentai. Last time I reviewed Ranger, a police Sentai. This time I'm going into Mahou and mythology. That's right, I'll be reviewing Mahou Sentai Magiranger. Happy 20th anniversary. First thing, the time this show aired didn't really help it as it aired after Ranger, the first and so far only Sentai to have won the same award. However, guess what series Magiranger was inspired by? Hint, it's a boy wizard. Yup, Harry Potter. If you watch this show, you'll see that. Now, I watched this before Ranger. The first time I saw the Rangers was in the Magiranger vs. Ranger movie. I remember watching 1 or 2 episodes back when I was a kid, but I didn't know what Sentai was. Though I did watch a few clips of Power Rangers Mystic Force. Anyways, was Magiranger truly magical? Or should it just rot in the depths of the underworld? Well, let's find out. As usual, the opening first. I like it. I definitely wouldn't say it's one of my absolute favorites, but I like the energy in this one, and it's definitely a sing-alongable song. As for the ending, I don't hate it. It's far from being one of my favorite Sentai endings, but it's okay. With that out of the way, let's get into the plot. All episodes in this show are called stages. In the Ozu house, we meet our heroes, the Ozu family. Well, most of them. 5 children, oldest to youngest. Makito, who runs Aniki Farm, and his main dish is Aniki salad. Gotta eat your greens. Hoka, Urara, Tsubasa, and Kai. Fun fact, if you take the first syllable of each sibling's name, you get Mahotsukai, or magician. Adding their surname to that, you get Ozuno Mahotsukai, or the Wizard of Oz. Meanwhile, in the deep dark underworld, our villains, the Infelicia, have awoken. Now they're split into 3 arcs. We meet Vankuria, Bronken, the leader of the first arc, and Wurazado. Now prior to this, Kai bumped into a little girl, making her balloon fly away. Now you would just buy her a new one, right? Well, he climbs a pole to get it. And returns it to her after almost getting himself killed. His family takes him away before a purple seal appears, and out comes a Meiju, or Hades beast. In front of her children, Miyuki transforms.
Maagi Magi Magiiro.
And defeats her using her ice magic. I like her suit. The snowflake on the helmet and the gold trimmings, it just looks great. She tells them about Infertia and how she was given magic powers to fight them. She gives everyone but Kai uniforms, cloaks, and the Magiphones, which they will use to access their magic and become Magirangers. An evil force is coming, and after some encouragement, the 4 head out. Now, Kai's too young and reckless. Prepare to hear courage a lot as it's their power source. Zobirus, the foot soldiers for this season, appear and our heroes transform for the first time. They each have an elemental power. Green's is earth, pink's is wind, blue's is water, and yellow's is thunder. Then Woolzard appears before them. His suit is amazing, and I love the sword and shield. The 4 get destroyed by him. Despite his fear, Kai stands in front of his siblings, and this courage grants him his powers. He has the elemental power of fire. Let's talk about their suits. I love them. I like the shape of the visors, each being a different mythical creature. The black lines and their capes are great as they're short enough given the action scenes like their roll call. Also their weapons, the Magi sticks. I like them, but a problem of sexism as only the guys have old versions with the Magi stick sword, axe, and bowgun. Woolzard then summons his horse Barakion and after enlarging himself. Now each episode title is followed by a spell that is important for the episode, which before the end credits, a talking pot plant explains what it does. Usually you don't know what it does until they use it, but as this is the first episode, it's their transformation spell. This is the third Sentai where the Rangers are siblings after 5-Man and Go-Go 5, but in this one Red is the youngest. Also, the villains are based on mythical or horror movie creatures, like Valkyria is based on a vampire, Bronken is Frankenstein's monster, and Woolzard is a werewolf. Episode 2, their mother arrives and becomes giant to fight Woolzard, but he overpowers and kills her right in front of her children. With an hour in his side, he leaves. The team is in disbelief and break down. Then the Infertia attacks again, but the death of their mother has split the team in two because Kai, Makito, and Urara want to get revenge on Woolzard, especially Kai. But Tsubasa and Hoka don't want to go, which leads to conflict between Kai and Tsubasa. As such, the three go with Makito taking charge, as he's the oldest. But it's not Woolzard who's causing destruction, it's Nightmare, and it's someone we know. Basically two goth girls, and I think they're pretty. Now, Tsubasa and Hoka are at home with their mother's staff where they discover a hidden magical room. Then an illusion of their mother appears, a pre-recorded message played after the revival of the Infertia and her death. Unknown to humans, Magitopia and Infertia fought each other until a heavenly saint, aka their father, sealed the Infertia away. They were told by their mother that their father died on an expedition, but now with the Infertia revived, they must fight. Meanwhile, the other three are having trouble with Valkyria, who feeds them to the Hades beast Blob. After learning that their power source is courage, Tsubasa and Hoka regain the will to fight and fly there on flying broomsticks. Hey, I did say this show was inspired by Harry Potter. How they get the three out is hilarious because Hoka turns herself into a pepper shaker and makes Blob sneeze them out. With the five of them together again, we see their team roll call, and unlike most Sentais, Red doesn't go first. Their courage gives them a new spell that grants them their Majin forms, all based on mythical creatures. This is basically how they gain new spells, through courage, which I'm okay with. Now, I like how they become the mechs, and I think they're designed well. They're not the same size, but it makes sense why. Like, Green's the biggest as he's a bull and the oldest, and Pink's the smallest as she's a fairy. I have a slight issue with Red's looking humanoid when he's meant to be a phoenix. Cause like Yellow has Garuda wings and Blue has the mermaid tail, so it feels a little off. With their newfound power, they fight Blob. Hoka turns herself into a ball and they all toss her before Kai finishes Blob off. However, their troubles aren't over because we meet the true leader of Infertia, Zetaishin Unma. Deciding to follow their father and mother's dying wishes, the fight between the Magirangers and Infertia has officially begun. Episode 3. After the death of their mother, Makito has taken up the responsibility of looking after the family. We get a hilarious introduction to Mandora Boy. I didn't mind him. His role is basically to give them advice and tell them what he knows about Magitopia, which he does here by singing a song about our heroes in the order of green,
大地のように揺るぎなく皆を支える寛容な色
pink,
風のように爽やかに夢を運ぶ希望の
blue,
色水のように清らかに癒しを与える慈愛の色
yellow,
稲妻のようにきらめいて知恵を授ける英一の色
and red.
炎のように元気よく心を燃やす情熱の色
Next is their role in battle.
色青き桃と続き出て最後に引き返し緑色
Basically, Kai is the leader, and Makito's not happy about his role as he thinks he should lead since he's the oldest. Then the enemy arrives and Kai immediately takes charge. They're facing a high Zobiru, and Makito wants the others to fight the minions while he goes after the boss. Except Kai doesn't listen, only to get beaten. Makito saves them, but the differences in their beliefs cause them to clash. Kai doesn't like being ordered around. Thanks to Hoka, Makito realizes what his true role as an older sibling is. Last year, the strawberries he planted failed to grow, but this year he managed to make it work. Without him, the strawberries won't grow. Same as Kai, he's immature, so your job is to patiently guide him. Meanwhile, Kai's fighting Worm, and before he gets eaten, Makito saves him. This time, the two work together to fight the High Zobiru. After summoning the Magi Trapeze, they use it to take out the Zobirus. Kai and Makito work together to destroy the High Zobiru. The worm emerges, but the four older siblings gain a new spell that combines them into Magi Dragon. I quite like the design. After severing the worm's heads, Kai destroys it. I love checkmate as a catchphrase, though without the finger click it wouldn't work nearly as well. Kai's the leader now, and Urara suggests using their magic to protect people from the Infertia's attack, which they all agree to, and now through the mirror they can hear any citizens being attacked. Episode 4. Kai breaks Urara's compact, which she got from their mother. As such, she's mad at him. Many people have disappeared, and according to rumors, if you make a M on your hand 3 times and look up at the dawn moon while reciting a spell, the Magirangers will help you. A little girl does this and asks the Magirangers to find her father. The mirror only shows things brought about by Infertia. Now they each have a speciality. Green is the support as the oldest brother. Pink can shapeshift. Blues is fortune telling using a crystal ball, which only she can see into. Thanks to this, they know where the girl's father is, but Urara stays behind. The 4 find the missing people petrified, who are to be eaten by Kokatorisu, so they fight it only to get their butts kicked. Urara gets petrified after saving Kai. He loses it, but they retreat. Despite being mad, she still saved her younger brother. That's what older siblings do. After being strangled by Kai, Mandoro Boy suggests alchemy, which is Red's speciality, to turn her back. But he doesn't have enough power. The enemy attacks again, and the other 3 go to fight, while Kai's having no success. So Mandoro Boy tells them that the solution may be to defeat Kokatorisu, which Urara found out how when she stayed behind. After noticing her compact, Kai realizes how to defeat it. After daring the monster to petrify him, he summons a mirror to reflect the beam back at it before destroying it. Brother and sister then make up, which is always great to see. I'll say this, I'm the oldest child in my family, but I would love to have someone like Urara as my older sister. I'm sure a lot of you would agree. Kogatorisu is turned giant by Woolzard, but the Magirangers got a new spell that combines all 5 of them. One of the greatest mechs ever. It's such a sleek design. I love the wizard top hat, such a great aesthetic choice. The wings are also great, and their cockpit is a chessboard. Makes sense. They fight and defeat Kogatorisu, which I love the finisher. The girl is reunited with her father, and Woolzard seems to know about the fusion spell. Episode 5 introduces Yuka Yamazaki, the manager of Kai's soccer club, and his crush. He's shy around her, which I don't blame him. Hoka basically tries to set them up using her shape-shifting magic, which everything she turns into is pink, but it backfires every single time. I'm a sucker for romance, but this was cringy as hell. However, I like how Hoka's character is set up here because she wanted to help Kai as part of her role and her color of hope, so she convinces him to not give up. After all, this show is about courage. This episode is one of the funniest endings where Kai does muster up the courage to confess to Yamazaki. She does like him, but she likes someone else more, and that someone is Magi Red, which is awkward. And seeing Kai freeze in place just makes it that much funnier. Episode 6 and 7. There's some tension within Infertia, as Bronken has quite the temper before Emma gives Woolzard power. He calls the Magirangers, which only Kai hears, and as the others don't believe him, he goes alone to fight Woolzard but gets his ass kicked. The others then come to his aid, and using the power of Magi Dragon, they seemingly defeat him. This also hints at a possible relation between Woolzard and the team because, despite being a Dark Knight and a sorcerer who wants power, he's very honorable and fights fair. Like when Kai was protecting a kid, he didn't strike him down. He calls them again for another fight, but it turns out the energy of their finisher from their last fight merged with the darkness, and after absorbing that power, it looks so cool. Woolzard's color is only on the head and chest, but it's such a great design and sleek as well. With the power of Magi Dragon now ineffective, they try to combine into Magi King, but Woolzard takes away their fusion power, which he uses to bring Bronken to the surface. To clear things up, after their father sealed Infertia away, Hades beasts can only be sent to the surface through Woolzard's magic. But this won't work with someone as powerful as Bronken. Anyways, without their Magi King power, they get overpowered. Kai's at Bronken's mercy, though Woolzard doesn't attack. After being insulted, Kai unleashes his hidden power, which he also did previously when Woolzard insulted his mother, and reseals Bronken. After Woolzard leaves, Kai collapses. Woolzard hides the fusion power, which Manchuria sees, but she won't tell Bronken, for now. He lies to Bronken about the power to send him to the surface being sealed by Magi Red, so they must find the gate key. Now, Tsubasa's speciality is potion brewing, and thanks to him, they've recovered, except Kai. As a result of going over his limits, his soul's now trapped in the dream world. To resolve this, Tsubasa mixes 3 bizarre ingredients and a lock of Kai's hair to make a potion, which one of them must eat to enter Kai's dream and bring him back. Then a Hades beast attacks and Tsubasa is left with the task. Problem is, when he enters the dream world, it will start to collapse, and if they don't get out in time, they won't be able to return. Tsubasa swallows the seed and enters the dream world, where Kai is fighting Woolzard. He unsuccessfully tries to tell Kai it's a dream, and they get beaten by Woolzard. Knowing that beating him is the only way to convince Kai, Tsubasa realizes that in a dream he can do anything and defeats Woolzard. These two don't get along, but Tsubasa still risks his life to help his little brother. So good. However, the dream world is collapsing and the other 3 aren't doing any better. The two are surrounded by darkness, but their mother appears, who was led here by Tsubasa's courage of risking his life for Kai. After encouraging them, she becomes a door, allowing them to return. They go to help their siblings, and after eliminating the minions, they fight an enlarged fungus. Even without the Magi King power, they still manage to defeat it. These episodes do a great job of setting up each character as per the song from episode 3 and showing them becoming a team. Episode 9. Bronken basically wants Woolsart to use the fusion power to send him to the surface, but Woolsart doesn't, so he gives Valkyria a crossbow. Switch to our heroes, they fight and beat another troll with their rider kick. Before they fight Wool Kaiser with Magi Dragon, but during this, Valkyria shoots Wool Kaiser with an arrow which has a curse that will drain his life. Before he can leave, Kai jumps on him and the seal sucks Kai in with Barakion. Bronken wants the Magi King power, but Woolsart already gave it to the troll, which turns it into a copycat Magi King and beats the hell out of the four. Meanwhile, Kai and Barakion are in an alternate dimension. The arrow is in Barakion. Kai has mixed feelings because Barakion helped Woolsart kill his mother, but he won't just let him die either. He tries to use the spell used previously to remove the arrow, but since he can't let go of his bias, it doesn't work. It's not until Barakion falls over that Kai's desire to save him becomes strong enough for the spell to work. Recognizing Kai as a warrior, they come back and combine. Again, great design, and I like it more than Wool Kaiser, mainly because of the red and the mane. With the power of fire, he fights and defeats Troll with a cool finisher. The team gets the Magi King spell back, but Barakion returns to Woolsart. He only worked with Kai to repay him. Episodes 11 and 12 provide character development to Hoka and really Tsubasa too, because Hoka's very cheerful and flighty. She goes to a concert and two familiar girls are playing guitars. This is also where things get a bit bizarre because Woolsart calls them. Hoka runs in and beats the Zobiru's unmorphed. During the mech fight, they get a hit on Woolsart, but after the sun rises, 3 seconds to guess what's happening. She's turning into a vampire, and only Tsubasa sees this. For this to have happened, a vampire must have drunk her blood, so they go to the concert where Nai and Mare hypnotize people so Leech can drink their blood. This is when Hoka gets serious and gains a new spell, allowing them to find and defeat Leech. Everyone returns to normal, except for Hoka. Woolsart tells them that it was Valkyria who drank her blood, so they must kill Valkyria, the queen vampire. To kill her, Tsubasa makes the Dawn Crystal. We also find out the reason why she splits into two is because being alone for so long is boring. She controls Hoka to get her to kill the others with poison apples, but Tsubasa sees through this. Valkyria controls her again, and while the three hold her back, Tsubasa goes to shoot Valkyria with the Dawn Crystal. Problem is, Hoka gets in the way. I love how despite getting the shit beaten out of him, you can see his determination in wanting to save his older sister, and he succeeds. Working together, Valkyria is shot with the crystal and is then killed. We then get the first confrontation between Magi King and Wool Kaiser. Even with Magi King, they still get overpowered, but they get a new finisher. After he leaves, Valkyria returns as she's immortal. Episodes 13 to 15 introduce the 3 solitary confinement Hades beasts, who are the most powerful of the Hades beasts and can go to the surface without Wolzard's magic, like Valkyria can. The first one is Olga. Basically, Magito loses the monthly earnings. He tells Uraru he doesn't want to tell the kids and makes a plan to save money. We find out she made a promise to her mother to be the mother of the team if she were to disappear. I love how she learns to not shoulder this responsibility alone and to have faith in her siblings. With their bond strengthened, they defeat Olga. Oh, it turns out the earnings were in the room and the gate key is hidden within someone. The second one is Guru, a boxing Hades beast. We get a clue on the gate key. Now Kai scores a date with Yamazaki, but they fight Guru, who injures Makito's foot. Tsubasa, being a boxer, manages to overpower him, but he gets his fist fractured. To prepare for Guru's return, they decide to train Kai, except his attention is on his date, but I love how Kai must decide what's more important, family or love. He chooses the former, and in his fight against Guru, he gets Magi Punch. After a pretty cool fight, he defeats Guru, and it's hilarious how he meets Yamazaki as Magi Red. The last one is Skeleton, who stamps people with a cursed red skull that makes them disappear and can rebuild himself. Hoka also marries a stranger, which Makito is not okay with. However, we find out that he's going to disappear, so Hoka wants him to have a happy last day. Without Makito realizing, she grew up, and they destroy Skeleton by burning him, which removes the curse. So the wedding gets called off. However, thanks to the 3 beasts, the Infertia have found the gate key. Episodes 16 to 18, we see Night and Mare chasing a woman who has amnesia, but is connected to Magitopia. Kai names her Rin, and she drinks a potion that can return her memories. But they're attacked by Night and Mare, who fights them with a Gatling gun after getting a power-up, and are immune to the Dawn Crystal. However, as the moon rises, the woman regains her memories. They defeat Valkyria, but Lunagel isn't a nice person. They learn from her that their father is Blagel and are filled in on Infertia. 15 years ago, Blagel faced Unma alone and told her to seal the gate. She turned her life into a key so when she's alive, the gate won't open. However, she was attacked by Heavenly Saint Rigel, resulting in her amnesia. She thinks that being kind is a weakness, and Blagel was strong because he wasn't kind. Wolzard calls them. Thinking that he's Rigel, she fights him alone, which is incredibly stupid because he beats the shit out of her thanks to his power-up. The team arrives and tells her that their father didn't let her help to protect her. However, her bell gets destroyed, causing the gate to rise, and Wolzard captures her. The team fights Gargoyle, but Bronken forces his way through the gate and defeats our heroes. Meanwhile, Lunagel has set up a barrier spell, so Wolzard casts an unlocking spell, and when it finishes, she'll die. With encouragement from Makito, they muster the courage to fight. While the older siblings fight Bronken, Kai goes to save Lunagel. He fights Wolzard, who beats the hell out of him, but Kai unleashes a stronger power and beats Wolzard. However, he's not dead, and isn't Rigel because he fights fair. They escape with help from Barikion, and Lunagel returns to Magitopia, causing the gate to sink. Kai injures Bronken as Fire Kaiser before combining with the others into Magi King. They gain a new spell and freeze Bronken's sword. It was their mother's ice magic, and with her presence, they use a new finisher to kill Bronken, ending the first arc. Episode 19 starts with a fight between Rigel and a magician 15 years ago. In the present, Nai and Mare find a cave, but they can't go in as it's protected by a seal, so they lure the Magirangers there. They go in and find a frog, a lamp, and a mummy. Kai picks up the lamp, which breaks the seal, allowing Vancuria to steal the mummy. Now the lamp is called the Magi lamp, and Kai, thinking it's treasure, rubs it to clean it. Then it starts flying around and out comes a cat genie, Smokey. I think he's cute and also a cat with abs. That's not something you see every day. Being a magical cat, he can grant them one wish. He wants payment, aka using them to get free food. Meanwhile, in first year, Rigel is reborn as sorcery priest Mamie, the leader of the second arc. While not as vexed as Bronken, this guy ain't a saint, as he betrayed Magitopia to satisfy his desires. He first appears to our heroes as a dark storm cloud, and Smokey recognizes Rigel, which scares him, and he hides. They fight Mamie, but he's like, what you can do, I can do better, and overwhelms them, as he was a magician who specialized in lightning spells. Then he goes giant, so the Magirangers fall Magic King, but they're only about the size of his foot, so it's clear how that goes. However, they don't give up, and Smokey helps them after seeing their courage. Mamie hasn't adapted to his new body, so he retreats. Smokey agrees to grant their wish, but it'll take time. Episode 20, we get introduced to the Magilamp Buster, which Kai tries and fails to use, and the second set of monsters, the Meijujin, or the Hades Beastmen, who are more intelligent and can talk, unlike the Hades Beasts. They were sealed by Blade Gel, but Mamie revives them. The first one is Gremlin, and hearing his voice is bittersweet because he's voiced by Shurikenger, who passed away last year. Rest in peace. Mamie gives him a pen before sending him to the surface. Unlike Bronken, who wanted to open the gate, Mamie plans to revive Emma, which requires human sacrifice. The pen gains ink whenever something bad happens to people. Our heroes fight Gremlin, who toys with them. During this, the frog saves them from a trap. They take it back with them as Hikaru, their new family member. It starts following Urara, which doesn't sit well with her as she's afraid of frogs after Kai played a prank on her back when they were kids. Now, Gremlin has been drawing these graffiti symbols at different locations, and by drawing these in 4 specific locations, it forms a magic circle, the same as Woolzard's, which when it's complete, everyone in it will die. Again, our heroes are having a hard time, and before Gremlin can kill Urara, Hikaru saves her and she kisses it. This is Heavenly Saint Sungel, who was the one who fought Rigel 15 years ago. He turned Rigel into a mummy, but he also got turned into a frog. The only way he could turn back was to get a kiss from Magi Blue, aka Urara. Then he transforms using the grip phone. He's the 6th ranger of this show, and his suit is gorgeous. The gold and dark blue color scheme and the way it shines, great. The diagonal piece on the helmet I also like, and his cape is the longest, but I think it works. The Magilamp Buster is his main weapon, and I love his first fight with the curving bullets. Him blasting Gremlin out of the ground was so cool before finishing him off. After this, he becomes their mentor who lives with them. 好きになれなきゃキスなんかできない。ということは、君は僕のことを好きになったってことだよね。違うかい？ The next 4 episodes show Hikaru interacting with the team as their mentor. Most of the episodes focus on 2 rangers in the same episode. I like that. It develops the characters and the family aspect. Episode 21, after Hikaru joins, everyone's attention is on him, which makes Makito doubt his worth, so Hikaru uses the Trevelyan Express to take them to a Marude Yona world, which are alternate worlds created by magic. They must find a hidden magic ticket to get back. Then Hikaru arrives on the Scarpit to fight Behemoth, and he meets Wolzard, who was reforging Bronken's sword to replace the one Kai destroyed. After being reminded of his role, Makito gets over himself and supports the team. They find a ticket and head back. He gets a new spell. I don't really mind it. However, we also get the worst mech in this show. The train form I like, but this mech is bulky, especially compared to Magic King. However, I like the moveset with the Steam Bazooka, Remote Liner, and Destruction Fire. Now, Hikaru was Blagel's student, and he'll teach the team what he knows. Episode 22, Hoka drags Hikaru to Kyoto to find a temple where their father proposed to their mother. She doesn't remember where it is, so Hikaru uses a spell to see into her memories. This spell plays an important role later. This was hilarious, and we get the roll call with all 6 of them. Wolzard also finishes reforging Bronken's sword. Episodes 23 and 24, we see people with marks on their necks, and they look soulless. This is the work of the incubus who torments the victims in their dreams. When they wake up, he's there and takes their souls. They'll die if they don't get their souls back. We get to see his lips, which is creepy. Wolzard meets Mamie for the first time. Also, his sword is Emma's fang, and his shield contains Emma's eye. Anyways, one of the victims is the son of the owner of the gym Tsubasa went to, who he made a promise to. However, they don't know where the souls are as Incubus wasn't hiding them on him. Prior to this, Smokey told them about a time reverse spell created by Chronogel. Because it can change history, Chronogel sealed his soul away and put a curse on it. Despite Hikaru's warning, Tsubasa uses it. He finds out that the souls are held by Hades' beast Spider. Meanwhile, Hikaru is fighting Wolzard, who overpowers him. The team tries to get the souls back, but then this happens. The time stream is being sucked into Tsubasa's body, so Hikaru makes a barrier to stop it. He gives them 5 rings that was passed down through generations in his family before going to Chronogel's world to get a staff that can remove the curse, while Tsubasa follows him. During this, he gets blown away, almost falls off the mountain, and gets shocked by the staff. Despite this, he pulls it out and tells Tsubasa to not become like Wolzard, but Wolzard blows up the mountain, killing Chronogel, and takes the staff. Magi Shine fights him. It was tough, but Hikaru's belief in his students gives him a new spell. He gets the staff and saves Tsubasa. He then joins the others in defeating Spider and Incubus. These 2 episodes are my favorite out of the 4. The rings Hikaru gave them were originally worn by the 5 legendary magicians who created Magitopia. The next 5 episodes are the siblings showing that they can become legends. Episode 25, Kai gets his courage stolen, and this is tied to Yamazaki because she has this keychain of Magi Red which gets taken by 2 bullies. Kai couldn't get it back initially, but later he stands up to them and gets it back. Courage can't be stolen, it comes from your heart. Hikaru and Mamie meet face to face. We also see Yamazaki with the keychain of Kai, and I'm like, aw, that's so cute. Episode 26, we find out that Smokey was born from Magitopia's volcano, and he opened a cursed chest that caused him to disappear. Hikaru saved him by putting him in the Magi lamp, but he can't be away from it for more than 3 hours. The only way he can break the curse is to grant wishes. Smokey plays a prank on the team, which Knight and Mare do to other people using the Uza phone, aka Wuzard's magic after he gave it to Mamie. The team blames Smokey, so he runs away and Urara goes out to find him. They get a new finisher. It's also nice to see Smokey fight and pilot the mech, as he usually just shovels the coal. Episode 27 introduces the 4 Kings of Hell, the strongest of the Hades Beastmen. The first one is the Samurai, who slashes 4 of the Magirangers, which severs their sibling bond. Makito tries to restore the bond because they're not just a team, but also a family. Ultimately, he is successful, and the first king is killed. Episode 28, Tsubasa meets a woman named Mamiere who has a beautiful singing voice. She was actually killed and had her soul captured by Siren, whose main weapon is her singing voice. But 15 years ago, her throat was injured by Blajo, so she forced Rei to lure people over with her singing. Then she would eat them to heal her throat. I'm like, damn, that's messed up. Siren absorbs Rei's soul. They think she's gone, but Tsubasa's emotions are so strong that he frees Rei's soul before they kill Siren. They love each other, but tragically, they can't be together. Episode 29, Hoka's attacked by a kobold who uses a bubble that erases her memories of the past year and causes her to reset hourly. They return to the scene and the guy from the marriage shows up. Then his life energy is taken. They find Kobold and try to break his staff to restore Hoka's memories. But the strongest king, the Yeti, appears and destroys the siblings. He's then given the power of the first 2 kings which Kobold collected and destroys Hikaru. The team's spirit is at an all-time low, but Hoka cheers them up with their mother's words because while her memories are gone, the courage that she gained isn't. Together they break the staff. After the Rangers prove that they can become legends, their rings glow, and I love how it builds on their primary qualities. I rewatched episode 26 the most because I love Urara's kindness. However, Hoka remembers about the evil ice, and her discovering it is what started this episode. The evil ice feeds on human life energy, and when it's fully grown, it'll freeze the planet. Episode 30, the siblings go with Smokey to find Snowjo, who is the oldest of the Heavenly Saints, the 5 legendary magicians' pupil, and the one who taught their mother magic. They find her inside a giant fish in an infant form. Now, she's not wanting to help, because it didn't end well for those who had power, like Miyuki, Blajo, and Raijo. However, they proved their courage to show that they won't go down that path, and their rings glow. As such, she awakens their hidden power, giving them their legend mode. Another team power-up after last season, and I love these forms. They got rid of the capes, but I like the mantle. The white looks great, but what I love the most is the helmet extensions. Red, yellow, and pink have different wing designs, blue has a fin, and green has bull horns. For these, the base suits, and the mech, there's an M. In this form, their weapon is the dial rod, and they cast spells using rotary dials. With their elemental powers strengthened, they overpower the 2 kings, and though Kobold escapes, they destroy the Yeti and the evil ice. Episode 31. Thanks to the legend power, the siblings' elemental powers are strengthened. However, having too much strength can also be a weakness because the next time they use the legend powers against Kobold, they defeat him, but their powers go haywire until Lunajo arrives and tells them that if they continue to use the legend powers, they'll become heavenly saints, which means losing their human memories forever. They're not okay with this, but they may not have a choice because the incoming threat is a machine called the Golem, which needs a 300 plus years old soul to work. And earlier, Mimi used a spell on Kobold. It not only restored his youth, but also when he was defeated, his soul ended up powering the Golem. Both Trevelyan and Magic King are powerless against it. They decide to use the legend powers. If they lose their memories, they can make new family memories. They gain new margin forms. Kai becomes Magi Firebird, and the other four become Magi Lion. They combine into I like this mech. White and gold work very well as a color scheme. I like how each range's color is there. Blue and pink on the legs, yellow and green on the shoulders, the red wings, and it can use claws, which is also great. I love this mech's finisher. Before they lose their memories, Hikaru gets a new spell that will allow them to continue using the legend powers by reverting them back before any damage is done. I think the pacing here is a little fast. It's a good episode, but it feels like this should be a two-parter. Anyways, episode 32. The threat is mold, which infects people with green spores, and when its eye opens, the infected will die. Makito unfortunately is infected after saving Kai, and the only way to save them is to kill mold before it opens its eye. While Hikaru and Lunajo try to stop the spores from spreading, the others go to destroy mold. They fight Woolzard, who previously retrieved his magic, and kicks their ass, even in legend mode. I love what happens next because Makito can't fight, but he still comes and cheers his siblings on. This is the strength of the heart, which he learned from their father. This allows them to overpower Woolzard and destroy mold. With Makito healed, it leads to the first fight between Wool Kaiser and Magi Legend, which Magi Legend is easily winning. However, Mimi infects them with another mold, but Woolzard takes it off them since this goes against his code of honor. Before he leaves, he tells them to be strong, which their father said to Makito in the past. And then he gets a memory of a blue sky, which raises the question, who really is he? Episode 33, we start to learn more about Blajo, who Kai doesn't remember as he was too young. Blajo always used his magic for others. 15 years ago, he was going to fight the Infertian invasion alone, and when asked about what he said before going, only Kai gets it correct. You make your own chances. Yeah, he may not remember his father, but he did inherit his courage. That phrase made Sanjo and Lunajo go with him, along with Raijo, who betrayed them. Now is a good time to talk about the Heavenly Saint forms. I like them, especially Blajo and Sanjo's. Lunajo's is my least favorite, but I don't mind it. However, the team is about to have issues because Woolzard calls for the siblings, while Mimi calls for Hikaru and Lunajo. Basically, they plan to use the legend power to revive Emma. Lunajo and Hikaru fight Mimi, who betrayed them to fulfill his own desires, which is the opposite to Blajo. Mimi then takes Trevelyan's power before using it to merge the Hades beasts and beastmen defeated by Blajo into Kimaida, who defeats Lunajo and Hikaru. Chimera then overwhelms the Rangers, allowing Woolzard to take them to Infertia, and their legend powers are sucked into Emma. Kai is almost killed by Emma, but this allows Woolzard to remember who he really is, and saves Kai. Woolsard's true identity is Blajo, or Isamu, aka their father. Episode 34, it turns out 15 years ago, Blajo was sealing Emma, but prior to that, he got injured due to Rigel's betrayal, and Emma poured the power of darkness into him through the wound, turning him into Woolsard. Now, Kai doesn't take this too well, because he killed their mother, and he didn't remember his dad. However, Infertia soon catches up, and Blajo is taken away, while Chimera overwhelms the Rangers, until Hikaru and Lunajo, who survived their previous ordeal, arrives with Unigoron, who teleports the Rangers away. Chimera confronts the Rangers, so Kai combines with Unigoron. This mech actually appears in the movie first, but it looks great. The white works well with the red, and it's basically a white version of Fire Kaiser. Now, Chimera at first mops the floor with the Rangers until Woolsard appears and Kai defeats Chimera. Sunjail and Rigel decide to settle things where they are bound to each other with a chain. They can't use magic, and the chain will only break when the fight is over. But Rigel was never going to play by the rules, though it didn't work out for him anyways, as Hikaru finds the chance to cut him down. Meanwhile, Kai fights Woolsard, who fights fair as that part of him didn't change. Accepting that he's his dad, Kai tries to make him remember who he is, and his tear allows Blajo to discard the darkness. This moment is beautiful, but short-lived because Emma is about to be fully revived, and so Blajo goes to face Emma, sealing him again. His last words to his children, their mother is still alive. Episode 35 is sorta a clip show, but I love how it ties into the plot, because Urara at first can't locate their mother through her crystal ball. Now, she has appeared every once in a while, so Hikaru uses the memory spell to see their memories of the fight against Bronkin, Kai's dream, and when she was killed. He confirms that she's alive. It turns out when she shot Woolsard with the ice arrow, it temporarily restored his mind, and he transported her elsewhere, making it appear that he killed her. Urara gets a new spell that heightens her fortune-telling ability, and sees their mother surrounded by a dark aurora. Meanwhile, Nai and Mare find a book of prophecy which details Infertia's activities. It flies away and they enter a valley where we meet the Infertian gods. These guys are huge and I love it. Next thing you know, the sky turns dark and giant steps appear with some of the most threatening villains in Sentai. The Infertia Pantheon, consisting of Sleipnir, Doreiku, Dagon, Sphinx, Gorgon, Todo, Cyclops, Ifrito, Titan, and Wyvern. The Rangers form Magic Legend to fight them, but they get taken out in one hit. The third and final arc has begun. Episode 36, the gods have this slab called the Monolith of Judgment, and only the god it chooses can go do their divine punishment. It chooses Ifrit first, who defeats Hikaru in both mech and ground fight. Each god makes their own rules for their divine punishment, and if they lose the game, their lives are forfeited. Initially, Hikaru doesn't allow the five to fight the gods, because according to Magitopian law, if they do, both the surface and Magitopia will be destroyed. In the end though, they decide to fight together to make their own possibilities, and we get a great moment between Hikaru and Urara. Now, Ifrit can evaporate any attack using his heat, but he must see the attack coming first, so Urara and Hikaru use that against him to deal a heavy blow. However, they don't actually defeat Ifrit, because prior to this, he made a rule that if he doesn't defeat them before the fire burns out, he loses, and he does lose. Before he dies, he tells the team that one of the gods has their mother in the Garden of Thorns, but they must find out which one. Episodes 37 and 38, the two-part fight against Cyclops. Now, the gods do not all have the same motivation, because Drake just wants to cause destruction and Gorgon is a snake. Cyclops appears and anything he shoots disintegrates. The team tries to fight him as Magic King only to get one shot. His game is, within the next 3 hours, he'll try to snipe them, and if they survive, he loses. It sounds easy, but the bullets are coming from everywhere, no matter where they run. They turn invisible and hide in a warehouse. Now, Tsubasa wants to be a decoy to lure Cyclops out, but Makito wants to do it because, as the oldest, he thinks it's his responsibility. 2 years ago, when he and Miyuki were away, he asked Tsubasa to take care of the family, but he didn't, and as a result, Kai got injured by a bear. Hence, he stayed home to take care of the family instead of chasing his dream. However, they're attacked, and after entrusting the others to Tsubasa, Makito transforms and gets rock armor. It works until Cyclops calms down and breaks it by shooting the same place every time. Makito finds where Cyclops is and throws his magic stick into a mirror. But... Meanwhile, Hikaru is confronted by Drake and they fight with Hikaru getting his ass kicked. But it barely scratched him. Before he lands the killing blow, Sphinx arrives to stop it, cause to revive Emma they must obey the rules, and so Drake leaves. This also sets up Sphinx's character where she questions Hikaru on why he's protecting the surface. Meanwhile, Cyclops' game continues with the four escaping into a forest, where Hoka becomes the second victim. Then Urara, who takes a bullet for Kai. Tsubasa breaks down as he couldn't protect his siblings the way Makito could, and Kai tells him, "You're not Makito, you're you, so you gotta do things your way." This allows Tsubasa to realize how Cyclops is sniping them. He uses Kai as a decoy and confronts Cyclops. The bullets are coming from places that reflect light. With Hoka it was a puddle, with Urara it was a car window, and so Tsubasa used the bullet's path to enter Cyclops' mirror world. After confirming that Cyclops isn't the one holding their mother captive, Tsubasa defeats him. Then he goes giant and overpowers the Rangers until Hikaru arrives, allowing them to kill Cyclops. These episodes are amazing. It's tense and Tsubasa having to step up is so good. Episodes 39 and 40, Gorgon learns from the Book of Prophecy that she'll be chosen next. So she forces Toad to go get rid of the Magirangers to save herself some trouble. Kai and Hoka are confronted by Toad. During the fight, Toad squirts poison on them, but before the fight goes on, the slab is ready, forcing Toad to leave. Now, there has been no sign of Emma's reincarnation so far, so Dagon's like, what is going on? He goes to the Bog of the Shadow of Truth to find out where Emma's soul is, with the answer being Ulzard. Due to Toad's poison, Kai and Hoka have swapped bodies. Fun fact, Hoka's actress originally tried out for Red. If she got the role, she would have been the first female Red, which would have been cool. They decide to live each other's day, where Hoka asks Kai to go date her 15 boyfriends, but he breaks up with all of them, while Hoka attends Kai's school. However, Gorgon appears, but Kai and Hoka can't transform due to swapping bodies. They instead resolve Hoka's issue. Dating 15 guys isn't love, that's just doing it for fun. Gorgon's divine punishment is these snakes that when the time comes will petrify the humans by biting them, which happens to Smokey. To stop her, they must fight her on her terms. Kai and Hoka stay behind while the others go to fight Gorgon. They split up to find her only to get devoured one by one. Meanwhile, at Kai's soccer match, he realizes his issue. Kai's a very earnest person, but he didn't consider other people's feelings. It's important to have fun while playing with the team, which Hoka does, and they win.
愛しな魔法使い様だもん。いえ、なんでもないです。
Hoka and Kai are attacked by Gorgon, but Sphinx swaps them back after learning what Toad has done to ensure Emma's resurrection. This puts them even more at odds with each other, and Gorgon predicts that Sphinx will get killed by a comrade. They transform and use their new spell to rescue the others. Entering the mech fight, Gorgon isn't the one holding their mother captive, and just when the snakes are about to petrify everyone, Trevelyan destroys her shield, cancelling her divine punishment before she's killed by a magic legend. Episodes 41 and 42, the Christmas episodes. To prevent Emma's resurrection, Bladejaw has absorbed Emma's soul, trapping him in his Warzard form. But the gods don't know where he is. Drake, though, just wants to go out. Gorgon getting offed did not help. This leads to a fight between him and Wyvern. Wyvern is faster, but he can't do damage to Drake. They stop when the slab is ready and it chooses Drake. Meanwhile, after the recent fights, Hikaru is starting to doubt whether fighting the gods with the siblings is the right choice. And as such, Snowgel tells him to learn from Kai. He and Kai go to a cake shop to help package cakes, but the cakes fall and are ruined. Now Kai suggests taking action to make new cakes, while Hikaru suggests thinking before acting. However, Drake appears and destroys Magic Legend in one hit, while Hikaru, after their last fight, doesn't immediately attack. Kai then returns with Magic Dragon and continues to attack Drake, only to be beaten again. Hikaru thinks he can't learn anything from Kai, and he is scolded by Snowgel, who then fights Drake. She overpowers Drake for a bit until the tables turn, so she teleports him elsewhere and wants the heroes minus Hikaru to help her. Despite being in Snowgel's territory, they don't do any damage to Drake, who manages to overpower them. Meanwhile, Hikaru learns that the owner of the cake shop managed to make new cakes on time. Sometimes, you just gotta act, cause you never know until you try, especially when there's no time to think. Realizing this, he returns to fight Drake. After doing a bunch of random attacks, he finds Drake's weakness and defeats him. He then returns to normal size, but Dargon sends Sleipnir to assist Drake, which goes against their rules to force Bladejaw out of hiding and gives Vancuria a scale. The Magirangers are helpless against the power of the two strongest gods, but... Bladejaw fights and overpowers Sleipnir before taking him back to Infertia, but not before Vancuria plants the scale on him. Knowing Drake's weakness, the heroes work together to kill him. Episodes 43 and 44, the next chosen god is Toad. Now, Urara and Tsubasa have the same dream where in the past they were trapped in a trailer, and Urara helps Tsubasa stay strong before Miyuki saved them. This sets up what comes next because they fight and overpower Toad. Toad's divine punishment is these frog eggs, which will hatch and cover the surface. Now, Urara's afraid of frogs, and guess what Toad is? He then teleports the rangers away. Toad also has a collection of souls, one of which is Miyuki. It turns out when Warzard killed her, she was sent to the Flower Garden of Souls, but was captured by Toad when he went there to collect souls. However, Urara can't get herself to go due to her fear of frogs until Tsubasa helps her the same way she helped him, giving her the courage to continue. Toad's game is a board game where they roll a die and move forward on the map until they reach the end where they fight him. But Toad plays dirty, forcing them into a trap where they face their evil copies, who overpower and turn 3 of them into dolls. Despite the odds, Urara overcomes her fear while Tsubasa takes out the other enemies, and they make it to the end where they find their mother. They beat the shit out of Toad before chasing him to the surface, and things are going their way until... The team is in despair, but it's not over, because the spell that Bladejaw placed on Miyuki is still working, and they find their mother's light before using their new spell to save her. Their reunion with their mother is amazing. Her kids have grown as people, and Miyuki's Magiphone changes. Meanwhile, Hikaru uses Trevelyan to suck up the eggs before he's attacked and beaten by Toad. The eggs hatch, but the frogs are then frozen and destroyed by Miyuki's ice magic. The fifth god falls. However, Dagon, Wyvern, and Titan have found Woolsar thanks to the scale placed on him. He fights Wyvern first, who initially overpowers him before he turns the tide. He faces Titan next, who easily destroys him and breaks his shield. Suddenly, Dagon stabs him from behind and takes Enma's soul. Episodes 45 and 46, Enma's soul will pick one of the gods as a vessel for his resurrection. However, the slab lights up and chooses Titan. Meanwhile, with Miyuki back, the team is enjoying a meal when Hoka comes in with a broken chair. Unlike Makito, who thinks the chair is trash, Hoka thinks it still has use. She doesn't see things with prejudice. Then Miyuki goes to search for Blajo before Titan appears. His divine punishment is this orb that sucks in electricity, which will then destroy everything. Now, Titan actually hates fighting. This is shown when he pets a cute little puppy. As such, Hoka befriends him, but the same can't be said for Makito. To prove that Titan is not a bad guy, Hoka tells Titan to either cancel his divine punishment or kill her first. He cancels his divine punishment, but Enma's soul chooses Titan as his vessel. To resurrect Enma, he has to sacrifice himself, but he refuses, so Wyvern decides to kill him before Hoka saves him using the Trevelyan Express, and kidnaps Smokey to pilot it. Makito also jumps on, and I'm like, damn! Wyvern catches up to them, but Hoka makes him fall through the floor. Meanwhile, Miyuki uses astral projection magic to go to Infertia and finds an injured Blajo, so she uses her magical power to heal him at the risk of her life. Now, the only way to prevent Enma's resurrection is to go to the Eternal Sea of Trees, where there's the Lake of Slumber. Titan will go into eternal sleep and will be out of reach from the other gods. Makito still doesn't trust him, but he has to support his younger sister. The others also learn this from Sphinx, who questions them on how they're able to beat the gods and achieve the impossible. Their answer is courage, which satisfies her, so she sends them to Titan's location. Meanwhile, the trio is attacked by Wyvern, and during this, Titan protects Makito, allowing him to let go of his prejudice. So he decides to escort him to the Lake of Slumber. To buy him time, Hoka disguises herself as Titan, and they lure Wyvern away. The others also arrive, but they get their asses kicked until... It's a red Woolsard suit, but it looks amazing. Now, Wyvern was one of the nice gods, especially to Knight and Mare, but after Blajo injured him, he became a dick. Seeing Blajo, he goes to fight him and unsurprisingly gets killed. However, it's not all good news as Titan gets intercepted by Dagon. Episodes 47 to 49, the endgame. The family is together again, but the final battle is approaching because absolute god Enma, a being made of hunger and emptiness, will awaken his true power and secret ability in 3 days. Now, Hikaru plans to return to Magitopia and does not plan to come back, because when Enma was resurrected, he saw his death. Urara takes it the hardest because they like each other, and they go on a date, which is so wholesome. Urara confesses her love to Hikaru, but he doesn't return the sentiment. Meanwhile, Sphinx wants to learn more about bonds and courage, but fails to convince Dagon to stop the divine punishment before Enma sends her to do her divine punishment. She easily defeats Magi Legend and Trevelyan, but after hearing from Urara about their feelings of wanting to protect what's important to them, she leaves before Dagon and Sleipnir kill her for her betrayal. Now, Hikaru didn't accept Urara's feelings because he didn't want to hurt her, as he saw his own death. Miyuki, who had a similar experience, tells him that she was more afraid of losing Isamu's love. Life will be full of obstacles, but what's most important is that the two can experience it together. Even if they are physically separated, they still have the memories of their love. Realizing this, he asks Urara to be his wife, and this moment is beautiful.
However, the wedding is interrupted by an injured Lunagel. To satisfy his hunger, Enma went to Magitopia to consume Magio's soul. Magio, the leader of Magitopia, is played by Soga Machiko, and she's great. But this was also her last Toku role before she passed away. It's sad, but we will never forget her. Magio is no match against Enma, and he destroys Magitopia, which I gotta say, Enma's look is both amazing and terrifying. Blajo and Hikaru go to Magitopia to fight Enma, the siblings fight Sleipnir, while Miyuki fights Dagon. Smokey stays behind because Hikaru wants him to protect Urara. However, whether it's on the surface or Magitopia, the fight isn't going well for our heroes. It turns out Enma's secret ability is being able to eat magic, and he kills Hikaru. Smokey dies while protecting Urara, and Miyuki is taken by Dagon. However, they are Blajo's children, and believing in his power, Kai overwhelms Sleipnir before the others join him. They've won the fight, but the war isn't over yet because Enma has killed Hikaru and Blajo. The siblings are now the only ones standing against Enma, who by consuming time takes them to the future, aka a wasteland. They are helpless against Enma and they get their power eaten by Enma. We see them helmetless for the first time, which is good. Kai has sorta lost hope. After all, even their father couldn't defeat Enma. That's until they see a flower that is still living despite how bad things are. After some encouragement from his siblings, Kai finds his courage and injures Enma. His attack on the siblings is stopped by Magio's magic. Turns out she teleported herself to the Flower Garden of Souls. Enma is now all alone because Miyuki appears with Sphinx, who was saved by Vancuria, as she wants to work alongside Sphinx to change Infertia. After Sphinx again failed to reason with Dagon, she killed him. Nai and Mare then revive Hikaru, Blajo, and Smokey before all 8 Magirangers transform together. For the final roll call, due to copyright, I'll just show you this. Since Enma eats magic, the team feeds him with magic stemming from their infinite courage and blows him up. The fight against Infertia is finally over, but the end is just a new beginning. 1 year later, they're all living their lives, with Makito expanding his farm by studying abroad. Urara and Hikaru live in Magitopia. Tsubasa is a boxer, and Kai becomes the ambassador between the surface and Infertia, now led by Sphinx. That wraps up the show. Now the characters. Kai. He's a hothead and very impulsive in the beginning, but it makes sense because he's the youngest and his element is fire. However, I love how he matures and stops acting like a brat. When it comes to Sentai, it is very common for Red to be the leader, but with Family Sentai, it's usually not the youngest. After all, with the previous 2 Family Sentais, 5-Man and Go-Go 5, the Red is the oldest sibling. It's definitely different with the youngest being the leader, but it works given that his older siblings support him. His relationship with Yamazaki was great, always love a good romance, which if you want to know how she finds out Kai is Magic Red, you have to watch the movie. But yeah, I like Kai, he's a good Red Ranger. Tsubasa, he's the family rebel. Like, he bickers a lot with Kai, which makes sense with them being the 2 youngest siblings, and he doesn't really like Makito's bossiness either. With his role being like the smart one, it comes up every now and then, like with the Cyclops episodes. Speaking of the Cyclops episodes, he had this funny moment where someone asks him for directions in English, and he very awkwardly says, "I cannot speak English." I'm like, didn't you just speak English? He gets along with Hoka despite their different personalities, and it really shows in the beginning where after their mother was killed, they didn't have the courage to fight. However, as much as he doesn't really get along with Kai, seeing him in the finale putting faith in him, who he calls by his name and as his little brother, that was amazing. Urara, I love her. Like I said before, I would definitely like to have her as an older sister. She's kind, gentle, and the mother of the team. The moment where she went to find Smokey was amazing. However, just because she's kind doesn't mean you should mess with her, because she can be scary sometimes. Her fear of frogs was something, I guess, but I mean it still worked since she had to overcome it to turn Hikaru back, and when they were fighting Toad. Her quiet personality causes her to not have as much to do compared to the other siblings, but it does serve as a good contrast between her and her older sister. Speaking of older sister, Hoka. She comes off as very cheerful and flighty, which to some people may come off as annoying, especially considering that every time she refers to herself in third person. But I didn't really mind it. However, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense, because she's supposed to be like the symbol of hope within the team. She claims to be a love expert, and she apparently is able to date 15 guys in one day, and I'm like, damn. She sees things in a positive light, and like I said, most of the time she's very cheerful. However, her befriending Titan was great, because she didn't see things with prejudice and matures as much as she could. I like her, despite her not exactly being the responsible type. Makito, as the big brother, he definitely takes his responsibilities very seriously. While Urara is the mother of the team, he would be the father, as he takes care of the team when both their mother and father were absent for majority of the show, especially considering he prioritized this over pursuing his dream of studying abroad, which it's explored in the Cyclops episode that he can speak English apparently, and I'm like, that's a plus. Sometimes he can be a little overbearing, especially in the beginning when he first learns that Kai is the leader. There are also times where he comes off as a little goofy, but meh, I didn't mind it. However, he definitely served his role as the oldest sibling very well, because there were times when he had to encourage the team to continue fighting when things seemed dire. He's a great character, what else can you say? Hikaru, he's a good teacher, and seeing him also learn some things from the siblings is also nice. I will admit, when I first watched this show a few years ago, I didn't remember him and Urara to have as many moments and interactions as they did. I like their relationship. I do have a little nitpick of them marrying after just one date, but given what they had to go through, I'm willing to give it a pass here. Although they could have had one episode dedicated to them going on a date before their marriage episode, but it's fine the way it is. His whole thing with Mimi could have been explored a little more because they really don't have many interactions, but it's fine. His relationship with Smokey is also good because Smokey does save him on a few occasions. Miyuki. She's a great mother. Yeah, she's not in the show that much, and she doesn't officially come back until near the end of the show, but this show does a great job of making us feel her presence, despite her being physically absent, like where she shows up to help her kids a few times. There isn't that much to say about her since she's absent for majority of the show, but I still like her. Bleijo, or Isamu, which is his Earth name. The twist where we find out that he was Woolzard. Despite it being fairly obvious, it still goes hard. Whether it was as Woolzard or Bleijo, his voice being so deep makes you feel his presence from a mile away. He's a great warrior, and seeing his reunion with his kids the first time was both great and sad, because the next second he had to go seal Emma again. He does care a lot about his kids though, because yeah, he had Emma's soul inside of him, but he still went to help them against Drake and Sleipnir, despite the fact that by doing this, he risks getting found by the other gods, which he ultimately was and almost died. Still though, he's dope. I like him a lot. Now the villains. Infertia. Good, but not the best. Bronkin didn't do much, he's always mad and wants to cause destruction, but then again, the first arc really was more about establishing the family dynamic with the heroes. Mimi had a connection to the heroes, specifically Hikaru, but again, there's more focus on the family dynamic where we learn the true identity of Woolzard and Bleijo, aka them being the same person. However, the Infertia Pantheon, easily the best out of the three, where you see how much of a threat they are, and also the conflicts within their ranks. They redeemed Sphinx, who wanted to learn more about courage, the source of the Magiranger's power, and Vancuria, which I'm fine with given that she gets abused quite a bit in this show. The main big bad, Enma, he doesn't really do anything until the end, but the build up to that point was great, and he was intimidating, which a part of that comes from his design before he blew up from overeating. Magiranger is a great show. The family dynamic is really good. Yeah, the actors aren't actually family, but they have great chemistry on screen. This show had great emotional moments that almost made me cry, like the kids reuniting with their mother and father. Magiranger is an A-tier show for me. It's worth watching. Happy 20th anniversary, Magiranger. Please awaken your soul for my next review. Kamen Rider Agito. Stay tuned for that. And if you enjoy my videos, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment down below your thoughts on Magiranger. Feel free to follow me on my socials, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.